let's talk a little bit about paper. There's so many different types of paper, and you might have access to a limited amount of different types, or you may have full access to a great art store. If you do, I would encourage you to go there and just touch the papers and see what you think feels interesting. I like to use a wide variety of different papers while I'm working on different medias. So I have this like really rough brown paper. This is actually really absorbent, and it makes a good base for watercolor textures and chalk textures. This is really thin, but it's just craft paper. Craft paper is just unbleached, sort of rough cartridge paper. So this, I use that for pencil crayons and chalk. Chalk shows up really well on craft paper. You can use gouache, which is like an opaque watercolor. This is a not very expensive but a smooth finish watercolor paper. It's just from a regular Canson watercolor pad. It has a rougher side and it has a smoother side. So you should definitely test out which side you prefer to work on. When I'm working wet on wet, I like to work on the really smooth side. I find it just gives a really nice quality to the paint. This is going to be a little tough to tell, but this is like a really, really smooth, like velvety finish paper, and it's called Yupo. Yupo is great for markers and inks. It's a funny kind of paper. It doesn't absorb water well. It has kind of like a plasticky vinyl feel to it, but it's really cool for markers. And then this is just, I think this is just a watercolor pad that I have, like a cheaper one. It's Strathmore. You can use it for painting, but you could also just use it for sketching with pastels or chalk. And finally, I just have this really cheap paper. It's super thin. It's basically like newsprint. It's really, really thin, but it's good for doing quick studies. So I like to use really cheap thin paper when I'm wanting to practice, so that I don't feel like I'm wasting paper. I can just like use 20 sheets of this and I don't care because it only costs like $3. And then of course we have trace paper, which we use for all kinds of things, but we use it for sketching and we can use it with pencil crayons and markers. So I'm going to start showing you some different medias on these different types of papers.